When people picture the American Revolution, certain images leap to mind. Washington crossing the Delaware with his nods on and little birds flying overhead. Patrick Henry thundering, "Give me liberty or give me death." And stitched into the fabric of memory, a woman at her sewing table, piecing together the first American flag. And that woman was Betsy Ross. Today, we're not talking about a politician. Her name has become legend, the seamstress who sewed the stars and stripes that would fly over a new nation. But as with so many legends, the truth is more complicated. Did she really design the first flag, or did the story grow larger with time? What is certain is that Betsy Ross was a patriot, a skilled craftswoman, and a woman who lived at the heart of the revolution in Philadelphia. Her story, both real and remembered, stitched her into the tapestry of America's beginnings. Welcome to our republic.
When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political band,
sailors and airmen of the Allied Expeditionary Force.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers. Not one small step for man.
Those three hallowed words reverently dictate what you ought to be, what you can be, what you will be.
We pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Elizabeth Griscom was born in 1752 in Philadelphia to a Quaker family. Trained in needlework and upholstery, she developed the skills that would later define her life. In her early 20s, she married a man named John Ross, an Anglican, which caused her expulsion from the Quaker community. But Betsy chose love, and in time, that choice set her on a path to history. After her husband's early death in 1776, Betsy was widowed and running her own upholstery business alone, just as the revolution erupted all around her. Now, the famous story about the flag goes like this. In June of 1776, George Washington, Robert Morris, and George Ross, a relative of her late husband, visited Betsy at her shop. They asked her to create a flag for a new nation. Betsy suggested a 5-pointed star, easy to cut, and then sew, easier to cut and sew than a 6-pointed one. And stitch together the first American flag, right? 13 red and white stripes and 13 stars in a circle. It's a powerful story, but here's the catch. The evidence only comes from her grandson, who told it decades later. Historians debate whether it really actually happened that way at all. There are no surviving records from 1776 naming Betsy as the official maker of the flag, but whether she created the very first flag or not, Betsy Ross certainly made flags for the Continental Army. Surviving receipts show her sewing banners, repairing tents, and working for the revolutionary cause. The legend may have grown, but the truth is that Betsy Ross stitched for the revolution. Now, Betsy married twice more after John's death, raising children while continuing her upholstery and flag-making work. Philadelphia was the epicenter of revolutionary politics, and Betsy lived right in the middle of it. A witness to occupation, independence, and war. She lived a long life, passing away in 1836 at the age of 84, remembered by her family and community as a woman of skill, patriotism, and resistance. Betsy Ross became a national symbol in the 19th century as Americans looked back at the revolution with nostalgia and pride. Her story, part fact, possibly part legend, gave the young nation an icon, a remember that the revolution was not just fought by generals and congressmen, but lived by ordinary men and women. The flag she is said to have sewn became the central emblem of American identity, 13 stars in a circle representing equality among the colonies. Even if the details are debated, Betsy Ross's name remains stitched in the birth of the Stars and Stripes. Betsy Ross, the seamstress patriot and a woman whose story became sewn into American legend. She spent her life sewing for the revolution, and her name will always be tied to the Stars and Stripes. The flag she's remembered for becoming more than a cloth. It became a symbol of unity, sacrifice, and independence. And through her story, we're reminded that revolutions aren't just made on battlefields. Sometimes they're stitched together in workshops. This one's really short. I understand that. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen. Remember, history isn't boring. It is the story of lives woven into the fabric of our great, great republic. I'll see you next time.